Hello and welcome back. So we're going to talk to Lanya here, who can tell us a bit more about what's going on. We're going to do some shopping, I'm going to read some lore, and we're going to run around camp. So first, check out the chest.
Please leave that be. If you have need of equipment, I am sure Master Varathorn can help you.
Okay. Can I ask what's inside?
What is the point? It is none of your business, so please, leave it be.
Okay. Then I'll know. So anyway, we want to talk to her.
Underanatishan, Grey Warden. My name is Lanaya. I am Zathrian's first, what you might call an apprentice, perhaps. I've been studying under the Keeper all my life. I am a bit curious of the outside world. Do you mind if I ask you a question or two?
You just asked me a question right there.
What an odd thing to say. I mean about the outside world, of course.
If you like, go ahead.
I hear the human cities are very large. Thousands upon thousands of souls all packed together in their houses. Is that true?
Yes, some are larger than the eye can see.
How very loud that must be with everyone talking all at once. I try to imagine those of our people living in such a place, surrounded by walls of stone and indifference. It is a difficult thought.
They are used to it just as humans are.
Being accustomed to pain and suffering does not make it any less tragic. It is said that one day we will have a land of our own. We Dalish gather the ancient wisdom in preparation for this. When that day comes, all elves, even those who have forgotten, will reclaim their former glory. I have a question, if it's not too impolite to ask. Do your people regret what they did to ours?
We don't pay much attention to it. It's history. Some of us do. Not all humans are the same. I don't know. I guess he's not, we don't pay much attention to it. It's history.
Ah, how quickly your people seem to forget. If it has not happened in their lifetime, it is a nebulous concept assigned to the past. A poet once wrote of them, before the fall of the Dales. Like dragons they fly, glory upon wings. Like dragons, they savage, fearsome, pretty things. But you don't need me to quote poetry to you. Forgive me. Perhaps you have some questions of your own.
And what can you tell me about Zathrian?
Nothing that you could not ask Zathrian himself. He is the keeper of this clan and has been for a very long time. He is also a very good man who has lost much. The Dalish are everything to him, and he would do anything to protect them.
Lost much? What has he lost?
He lost his family a very long time ago. I don't know the story, but I understand the circumstances were horrific.
Why are the Dalish so hostile?
They have reason. Since the days of Alrathan, my people have been either subjugated or homeless.
What is this Alrathan you mention?
It was our ancestral home, long ago when the humans first came to these lands. We were free then, and immortal. We did not know how to deal with the humans, and in the end, they turned their power against us and destroyed Alrathan. Our ancestors were enslaved, and our culture lost forever.
Okay. Does Alrathan still exist?
Not to my knowledge. According to the old tales, the human mages sank Alrathan into the ground, crushing it beneath the rock.
Elves were immortal then?
They died, but not of an aged body as other races do. Not until the humans came. According to the legends, association with humans caused us to quicken. Our blood sped, and we began to age. So we avoided them naturally. And then we were enslaved by them for 1,000 years. And in so doing, we all were quickened permanently and our immortality destroyed. Or so the old tales say.
But you could get your lifespan back, no?
In time and with seclusion. We Dalish have lengthy lifespans, and they will get longer. Zathrian himself has lived many centuries, though that is unusual even for us.
But the elves were eventually freed, right?
Yes, after a millennium of slavery, Andraste herself freed our people. She who was your maker's chosen.
I'm not gonna say, but you don't worship the Maker, because I know that they don't. I know at least that. But it can be interesting to see if she talks about their deities and their gods.
We worship the creators, as we always have. We give thanks to Andraste for her part in our freedom, but we do not worship her or her god.
Okay, I can see why you resent humans then.
Shemlin, we call them. Quick children. I suppose it takes a certain arrogance to look upon another people as children, no? Perhaps we should be more heedful of our own role in Arlathan's loss. Even so, it was a bitter lesson to learn. One we are not grateful for.
But I'm not responsible for what's been done to the elves. Your homeland was called the Dales, I thought.
That was our second homeland. Our first was the great city of Arlathan. The Dales came when they were freed from enslavement. Elves everywhere journeyed hundreds and thousands of miles to the Dales, eager to start their lives anew. They called it the Long Walk. They reached the Dales and made it their own. And one day it was taken from us too, and you wonder why we are hostile.
Is there no way to get on your clan's good side?
It requires an individual to prove he is not the outsider we have come to expect. Your own task to help our clan is certainly a step in the right direction.
Okay, I want to ask something else.
Certainly.
I wanted to ask her about Witherfang, but apparently I can't do that. So tell me more about yourself.
I'm hardly anyone special, I assure you. If I seem different from the rest of my clan, it's only because I was born amongst humans. I came to the Dalish at a very young age, but I've always retained my curiosity about the world I came from.
How did you come to the Dalish if you were so young?
My parents were servants to a human merchant whose caravans plied the southern routes. One day, bandits killed him, and my parents both. I was the only survivor, just a young girl, and the bandits took me. I was their servant for several years.
I'm sorry, it must have been horrible.
It was. The long years of reflection have allowed me to come to terms with it, to put them in perspective. I can only imagine what would have happened had the clan not saved me from them. I owe them my life for that, and more.
You said that the Dalish rescued you from the bandits?
The bandits killed a scout when the clan passed near their camp. When the clan discovered him, Zathrian came looking for his killers. He followed their tracks for almost a month, and when he finally caught up to us, he fell on the bandits like a terror. No one could stop him. I sat there and I watched him attack them in a blur, and I reveled in every blow. When he saw me, the fury in his eyes turned to pity. He took me back to the clan, and I've been here ever since.
Didn't you have a family you could return to?
It's possible I might have had some, maybe many. Zathrian offered to take me back, but I had no idea where I was from, and I wanted to stay with the man who rescued me. The clan is my family. Any others out there? It's best they believe that little girl died with her parents. For now, the clan is all I need. My old world could not have offered me all this, and the knowledge of a keeper as well. Perhaps one day, when I am keeper, I might inquire out of curiosity. I'm not sure what lies down that road except pain, however.
How did you become a keeper?
I am not a keeper. I am Zathrian's first. Though because I was not born into the clan, becoming his first was very difficult. We Dalish have old traditions. The clans come from the ranks of the nobility that once ruled the Dales, you see. The keepers of those old clans have the strongest and purest blood that reaches back to the days of Alrathan. I had to compete against the other candidates for first, to be better than them in everything, simply because I was not of the old blood.
And you must be proud of your accomplishments. Or what did Sathrian think of that?
He was proud of me. I've always thought of him as a father in a way. He could not hide his pleasure when I became his first. The clan has placed great trust in me. One day, I will lead them and be the one who secures our future.
What does a keeper do exactly?
A keeper is, first and foremost, the leader of the clan. He decides where we go and when we shall move. He's also responsible for knowing the clan's ancient lore and passing it on to the others in the clan. Without a keeper, the clan's knowledge is lost forever, so the clan protects him like no other.
I should go.
As you wish. Darth Shirel.
Okay, so we got Codex, Alrathan, Part 1. Before the ages were named or numbered, our people were glorious and eternal and never-changing, like the great oak tree. They were constant in their tradition, strong in the roots, and ever reaching for the sky. They felt no need to rush when life was endless. They worshipped their gods for months at a time. Decisions came after decades of debate, and an introduction could last for years. From time to time, our ancestors would drift into century-long slumber, but this was not death, for we know they wandered the fade in dreams. In those ages, our people called all the land Elvenan, which in the old language means place of our people. And at the center of the world stood the great city of Alrathan, a place of knowledge and debate, where the best of the ancient elves would go to trade knowledge, greet old friends, and settle disputes that had gone on for millennia. But while our ancestors were caught up in the forever cycle of ages, drifting through life at what we today would consider an intolerable pace, the world outside the lush forests and ancient trees was changing. The humans first arrived from Parvalan to the north, called Shamlang or quicklings by the ancients. The humans were pitiful creatures whose lives blinked by in an instant. When they first met the elves, the humans were brash and warlike, quick to anger and quicker to fight, with no patience for the unhurried pace of elven diplomacy. But the humans brought worse things than war with them. Our ancestors proved susceptible to human diseases, and for the first time in history, elves died of natural causes. What's more, those elves who spent time bartering and negotiating with humans found themselves aging, tainted by the humans' brash and impatient lives. Many believed that the ancient gods had judged them unworthy of the long lives and cast them down among the quicklings. Our ancestors came to look upon the humans as parasites, which I understand is similar to the way the humans see our people in the cities. The ancient elves immediately moved to close Elvenan off from the humans, for fear that this quickening effect would crumble the civilization. The fall of Alrathan, as told by Gisharil, keeper of Vallaslin, clan of the Dalish elves. Okay. Right, so I'm gonna check my map. And we came in here, so... or do we come in here? I'm gonna go back and then just work my way through camp. So we came in from here. This is the girl who stopped me.
So tell me, was the Tower of Magi everything you thought it would be?
Abominations running rampant? Templars ready to slaughter every mage in sight? Yes, it rather met all my expectations.
You don't think you might have been better off getting your training there, instead of whatever your mother taught you?
You're right. My mother didn't nearly have as many abominations running about. That certainly would have improved my education.
I'll give you that one.
I'm so relieved.
Alright, so gonna go pick up some elf fruit. Gonna see if Mithra will talk to me.
I trust there are no hard feelings about my questioning of you when you arrived. We Dalish must protect ourselves from trouble at all times.
I understand.
You might have just told me you were a Grey Warden and saved me the grief, though I suppose I can hardly blame your caution. But I wish you good fortune with your task. Dareth Shiral.
Oh, what does that mean? Items received. What did I get? Right. So, we'll go look over here.
Hello. I'm not afraid of you. I'm a great Dalish warrior.
And Athara, Grey Warden.
Okay, so we've got a codex on a god. And it's a very long codex. So if you want to read it, you can pause. I'll just drag this down and you can pause again and read the end. And another Dalish warrior.
So you are the Grey Warden who is supposed to save us? I never thought I would hear of an outsider who would ever do anything for us.
Death root. Dalish huntress.
So, you are the Grey Warden who is supposed to save us? I never thought I would hear of an outsider who would ever do anything for us.
Right. Elf fruit. Colored inks. Dalishness. Landmark tent. Okay, God of the Craft, so this is another codex. I'll just open it up and you can pause if you want to read. And so let's go check out. I feel really horrible to doing stuff like this, but yeah, you know, there's a reason why stuff is there. Check out the colored inks. Okay, so this is interesting. Vallaslin blood writing. When the children of our people come of age, they earn the privilege of wearing Vallaslin, the blood writing. It sets us apart from the Shamlan and from elves who have their own, who have thrown their lot in with them. It reminds us that we will never again surrender our traditions and beliefs. The ritual deserves great reverence. The one who is to gain the Vallaslin must prepare by meditating on the gods and the ways of a people, and by purifying the body and the skin. When the time comes, the keeper of the clan applies the blood writing. This is done in complete silence. Cries of pain are signs of weakness. If one cannot tolerate the pain of the blood writing, they are not ready to undertake the responsibilities of an adult. The keeper may stop the ritual if they decide that the one gaining the Vallaslin is not ready. There is no shaming in this, for all children are different, and our ancestors once took centuries to come of age. As told by Gisharal, keeper of the Ralafarin clan of the Dalish Elves. Okay, so let's talk to Athras.
Andera Natishan, stranger. I am Athras. I hope the others have not been too harsh in their treatment of you.
They haven't, it's annoying. I have a job to do. They've been a bit suspicious. I don't mind, I understand. They've been a bit suspicious.
It is not our intention to insult a Grey Warden. We are simply wrapped up in the plight of our hunters. It is easy to forget simple niceties at such a time. I understand you will search for the wolves in the Brecilian Forest. I would join you, but Zathrian has forbidden me.
You didn't seem very happy about that.
None of us are happy about this situation, and I least of all. But I shouldn't speak too much about this, especially with an outsider. I am sure you have little interest in my problems.
Please, I'd like to hear about it.
It's odd to talk so freely with a stranger, but perhaps you can help me. My wife Delilah and I both fought the werewolves in the ambush. She was injured so gravely, the curse spread rapidly in her. Zathrian fought hard to ease her pain, but there was little he could do. And though he says that Delilah is dead, he will not let me see her body. I am beginning to believe she became a werewolf, and that it is being kept from me so I do not go chasing after her. If I could just know if Delilah is alive, or what happened to her, then I could be at peace.
Right. I will seek her out in the forest.
I have an amulet made by our craftsman. It's not much, but I would be happy to give it to you in return for any news.
So, I got a new quest, so I've got to go and see if I can find his wife. Okay. Let's go talk to the dalish nurse.
I'm sorry, but I must attend to our ailing fallen.
Okay. Landmark tent. This is for the doggy. So... Go on, doggy. Oh, you can level up as well. The Mabari claims this area's territory, increasing the hound's aggression and tendency in its defense. Oh, I can level up a lot. So let's put 20 constitution and 26 strength and 22 dexterity. And I'll give you... I'll give you shred. Play. And I'll change him out for Severin. Alright, so we talked to Lanya, we know about the chest. And we can go and just check what they have to say.
Anathara, Grey Warden.
I thought a Shem would be uglier. You're not so ugly.
Oh, thank you for that.
So you are the Grey Warden who was supposed to save us? I never thought I would hear of an outsider who would ever do anything for us.
So you're the Grey Warden who was supposed to save us? I never thought an outsider would ever do anything for us.
And you?
Hello. I'm not afraid of you. I'm a great dalish warrior.
We few wanderers greet you, Shemlin. We understand you are venturing into the haunted forest to save our brethren. I suspect your efforts may be in vain. An entire group of our hunters went into the forest to do as you intend, and they have not returned.
Okay. And the keeper mentioned that.
And you are very brave to adventure into such a place, even knowing the danger that awaits. Your courage impresses us greatly.
He doesn't really sound sincere. Your attitude is getting annoying. You think sarcasm is going to help, do you? I haven't done anything to deserve this, have I? I must deal with the blight. If I can help you, I will.
Nothing will help us now. Least of all, the meddling of an outsider.
You are being most unkind, Cyril. Would you refuse our hunter's help simply because of the hand that offered it?
You shame me, Lethalan. I have allowed my bitterness to cloud my better judgment. Forgive me, Grey Warden. It is most difficult to forget the lessons the Shemlin have taught us.
It is even more difficult when you live amongst them, trust me.
Perhaps I can yet make amends. Stay while I spin a tale for our children. And then I will tell you of the forest if you desire.
Yes, I'd like that.
Come and join us then, all of you. Now, what say we tell the story of the fall of the Dales? Which of you children knows that best?
I think I do.
Yes? Then come, child. Oh, don't be frightened of the outsiders. Now, where do you suppose such a tale should begin?
When we were slaves?
Yes. Long ago, our people were slaves to an empire the Shemlin had built on the darkest magic. They took away our history and our language and left us nothing. And then that empire fell. We were freed.
Because Andraste came with her army, and Shartan joined her.
Yes. Andraste, the Shemlin prophet, came out of the south and challenged the Tevinter Imperium. Our ancestor, Shartan, fought at her side. And when the rebellion came to an end, we were given a new homeland in the west, the Dales. We began to rebuild the culture and history we had lost in our years of slavery. We worshipped the creators and made the Dales our home. Perhaps you know what happened next, stranger. Do you know what happened to the Dales?
You started a war with us and lost.
We started the war, did we? And you, child, what do you believe happened to the Dales?
The Shemlin wouldn't let us be.
Indeed. They resented that we would not worship their maker, and they resented our ways because they were so different from their own. The Shemlin nations grew cold towards the Dales. They called us blasphemers and tyrants, and declared war upon us, a great crusade.
Not every human felt that way, I'm sure.
And which is worse? The actions of those who believed they were right, or the inaction of those who knew they were wrong?
Exactly.
Oh, I am certain we played a part in our downfall. We believed that the Shemlin would not revoke their prophet's gift so lightly. We were wrong. They took our lands, forcing us to abandon our gods and live as beggars in Shemlin cities. But there were those of us who refused to abandon our ways. They emblazoned the symbols of the creators upon their flesh and vowed to keep their ancient lore alive.
That's us. That's the Dalish.
Indeed, child. We chose to wander, homeless, rather than be ruled by the Shemlin. And all our clans wander alone until the day we have a homeland once more.
Then we bring the old ways back to our people, because they have forgotten it all.
For we are the Dalish, the keepers of the lost lore.
The walkers of the lonely path.
We are the Alrathan, and never again shall we submit. And that is the tale of the Dales, stranger. Thank you for allowing us to tell it to you.
You didn't give me much choice, actually did. Perhaps you'll allow me to tell a story as well.
Perhaps another time. You are the guest here, and one who may yet prove of great help to our ailing hunters. Now, as I said I would, I can tell you what I know of the Brecilian Forest. Do you wish to hear it?
Yes, please. Tell me of the forest.
Our legends say that before the Shemlin came, the Brecilian Forest was a place of our ancestors that predated even our oldest homeland. The people of the Imperium came here and gave the forest its name. If they found traces of our ancestors, we cannot say. If they did, those elves were slain or enslaved. We know only that a great many battles were fought here. These trees grow upon the graves of those who fell, Shemlin and elves both.
And what does that have to do with the werewolves?
So much death in one place tore the veil into the beyond. The Shemlin know the beyond as the Fade, the place of dreams and spirits. When the veil is torn, spirits pass into our world freely. The legends say that one great spirit possessed the wolf that became Witherfang, who passed its curse of rage onto men and created werewolves.
Okay, so they call the veil the beyond. Oh, they call the Fade the beyond. How many werewolves? No, so this with the one still exists today.
So Zathrian insists. He says that Witherfang does not age as the werewolves do. Witherfang is as much spirit as it is beast, and thus it is immortal. Perhaps it cannot even be slain. At the very least, it is old and powerful, much as Zathrian himself.
So there are many spirits in the
forest? The forest is said to be haunted. Spirits possess the trees, the wolves, even the bodies of the dead. They yearn for true life, you see.
There were battles in the forest?
Who can say what value the Imperium placed on this land? And how many elves died here, in slavery? Even the barbarians, who came to overthrow the Imperium, fought and died on this soil.
How many werewolves are there?
No one knows. When the Shemlin lived in these parts, the curse would spread anew to a few of them with each passing year. They would run off into the forest, never to be seen again. Eventually, all the Shemlin left. One assumes the werewolves survive by passing their curse to their offspring. They have had no new blood. Until now, that is.
Have the hunters become werewolves?
It is said that 1 or 2 have turned already, though the Keeper denies it. As for the rest, they will either die or turn, unless they are killed out of mercy. I would rather die than become a ravening, soulless beast. Wouldn't you?
That's all I need to know.
One last warning. The forest is like a thing alive. It changes as it wills, closing paths behind you and opening up new ones. Too many have become lost within, unable to find their way out. Were I you, I would endeavor not to make the forest my enemy.
New Codex, the Dalish Elf. New Codex, Alrathan's Part 2. New Codex, the Dales. New Codex, the Brecilian Forest. Okay, so these are actually really interesting. So I want to read them all. There are places in the Brecilian Forest where the veil is so thin that the difference between awake and dreaming is next to nothing. In one such place, a wood shape was born under such unfortunate stars that his mother named him Abelas, which means sorrow, and he lived up to his name. He could keep no apprentices and lost his stock of bows in mishap after mishap, until finally he had nothing. The rest of the clan began to fear that his ill luck would harm them too, and whispered among themselves of casting him off. Abelas heard them and resolved to change his luck, and so went into the forest alone to seek a suitable tree from which to make bows. At last he spied a young rowan growing beside a stream. He drew his axe, and the tree cried out in fear, begging to be spared. But Abelas said, "If I do not take your life, mine will surely end." With 2 strokes he felled the tree. From the tree he made the finest 3 bows he had ever crafted. Pleased, Abelas returned to camp and gave his bows to the hunters at once. By nightfall, however, the camp was in an uproar. The hunters had returned with braces of hares, which, when cut open, revealed only worms and sawdust. The elder said it was a sign that the hunters had robbed some spirit of its host, for it is well known that spirits do not go about the waking world on their own, but inhabit other creatures' bodies. The elder worked a charm to banish the spirits back to the Fade, and the clan went to sleep hungry. The next day the hunters brought back a doe, and again the beast bled sawdust. Now the clan began to fear the spirit would starve them, and wondered what they had done to deserve it. Abelas came forward then and told them of the rowan tree. The elder considered for a long time before declaring that they must replace what Abelas had taken from the spirit. So they sent the hunters to dig up a rowan sapling and bring it living to the camp. There the elder ordered the sapling planted and appealed to the spirits for forgiveness. There was a terrible sound then, as if the whole forest was crying out in protest. Darkness fell upon the camp, though it was just past midday, and when the darkness passed, a rowan grew, every tree bearing the force-faced of terrified elf stood where the camp had been. From then on it was forbidden in every clan to cut living trees in the Brecilian Forest. The spirits know nothing of forgiveness. And when the darkness passed, a rowan grew, every tree bearing the froze face of a terrified elf. stood where the camp had been. So the whole camp suffered because of one person. The Rowan Grow, a Dalish tale from Ferelden folklore and history by Sister Petrine, country scholar. So this is a Dales. We heard that story. You can pause if you want to read this. And this is the Dalish elves. You can pause if you want to read this. And this is Alrathan part 2. You ask what happened to Alrathan. Sadly, we do not know. Even those of us who keep the ancient lore have no record of what truly happened. What we have are accounts of the days before the fall, and a fable of the whims of the gods. The human world was changing even as the elves slept. Clans and tribes gave way to a powerful empire called Tevinter, which, and for what reason we do not know, moved to conquer Alrathan. When they breached the great city of Alrathan, our people, fearful of disease and loss of immortality, chose to flee rather than fight. With magic, demons, and even dragons at their behest, the Tevinter Imperium marched easily through Alrathan, destroying homes and galleries and amphitheaters that had stood for ages. Our people were corralled as slaves, and human contact quickened their veins until every captured elf turned mortal. The elves called to their ancient gods, but there was no answer. As to why the gods didn't answer, our people left only a legend. They say that Fenharel the Dreadwolf and Lord Tricksters approached the ancient gods of good and evil and proposed a truce. The gods of good would remove themselves to heaven, and the lords of evil would exile themselves to the abyss. Neither group ever again to enter the other's lands. But the gods did not know that Fenharel had planned to betray them, and by the time they realized the Dreadwolf's treachery, they were sealed in their respective realms, never again to interact with the mortal world. It is a fable, to be sure, but those elves who traveled the beyond claim that Fenharel still roams the world of dreams, keeping watch over the gods, lest they escape from their prison. Oh, I wonder, could Flemeth be Fenharel? No. Okay. Anyway, whatever the case, Alrathan had fallen to the very humans of our people had once considered mere pests. It is said that the Tevinter Magisters used their great destructive power to force the very ground to swallow Alrathan whole, destroying eons of collected knowledge, culture and art. The whole of elven lore left only to memory. The Fall of Alrathan is told by Gesharel, keeper of Ralafaring, clan of the Dalish elves. Okay, so maybe one day we'll run across Alrathan in the deep roads. Right. Okay, I think that will do for today. We still have over half of the camp left to look through, and so next time I'll be talking to these guys and buying supplies. So thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.